Shalom. And give all praise to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Krokadash, double honors to the Apostle of Great Millstone. Shalom to you brothers out there pushing this word in sincerity and truth. I'm going to jump straight into the scriptures. This video is about Esau, Edom, and Esau, Edom being the border of wickedness, or being the wicked of what the Bible speaks of. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have in indignation forever. So, whereas Edom saith, we are beat down, that's what the word impoverished mean, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. And those desolate places is talking about here in Babylon, aka America, and building up also in other countries, but building up their Mount Seir or Caucasus, the Caucasus Mountains, somewhat Greco-Roman architecture, like living in a cave. Because Esau comes, Caucasian, like the word Caucasian comes from cave dweller. Esau's origin is the caves, living in the mountainous cave settings out in the Middle East. But I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. But the part I wanted to focus on before I forget is, but I will throw down. Who will throw down? The Lord will throw down. The Lord is going to destroy this place. The Lord's going to break down everything and cleanse the earth through his ICBM missiles. That's how the Lord's going to throw down. Ultimately, that's how the Lord's going to throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness. And who's the border of wickedness? Esau, Edom, the whole nation of Edom. If you come from the line of Edom, then you are border of wickedness. That is your true nature, and it's going to come out in some way, shape, or form. And the people against whom the Lord have righteous anger forever, and that's what the word indignation means. Righteous anger. The Lord has anger forever. He's going to be angry with Esau forever. I'm gonna jump to the second scripture, which is Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 35. Because the Lord hates Esau, and Esau hates who? Ultimately, the Lord, Esau hates the Lord, because that's how the Lord set up. That's who the Lord set up to be the wicked. 35 verse 5. Ezekiel chapter 35 verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time of their iniquity had an end. So Esau has always been there, even when we were, at our low in ancient time, when we were being prosecuted. Instead of being a brother, he set forth and continue the bloodshed of the children of Israel, which he's still continuing the bloodshed of the children of Israel to this day, by having us in the jails or the prisons and the jails, shooting us down on the street by the centurions, which centurions, for the new people watching, are the, aka the slave patrol, even though the police really going back, from my memory, going back to the Spaniards in Europe for a whole different thing. But, here in America, the origin of the police in America is slave patrol, by patrolling keeping who in line? The slaves, which we are the slaves. We're behind enemy lines, and that's why Yahushua has to come and deliver us. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and perpetual means ancient, ancient hatred since Cain and Abel, since Jacob and Esau, since Adam and Eve, going all the way back to Adam and Eve. The serpent, that was Esau. That was that lying, deceptive spirit. Even going back to that, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword. And what is Esau's blessing? Is the sword, any type of killing instrument. Doesn't matter what it is, technological, uh, uh, the gun, missiles, biological warfare, chemical warfare, doesn't matter. That's the sword that Esau has shed the children of Israel blood by the force of the sword, you know, and in the time of their calamity, and that can be talked about, like I said earlier, for this present time. In the time of their iniquity had an end, and the whole nation of Israel is, we sinned against the Lord, and that's why we're being punished now. And Esau, just to paint the picture, Esau had us in slavery, you know, during the 16, 17, 1800s and early 1900s, right? But went above and beyond the means of slavery and having slaves. He went above and beyond, like gator bait, throwing the babies into the lake to capture the alligators, and to use the alligators as boots or purse or whatever, but actually using live so-called African American babies or black babies as bait, cutting the pregnant slaves' stomachs open. That's a form of torture. Force feeding the slaves to eat slop to keep the slaves alive. But I forgot what the term is, but by breaking the teeth, popping the teeth, basically in, but just popping the teeth out, so then they can put a funnel down the throat and force feed the slave just to keep the slave alive, because there were so-called rebellious slaves that they could, anybody can see, slavery in the sense of Esau's term is just pure hell and pure wickedness. And there's laws, statutes, and commandments on how to even deal with your slave, But Esau went above and beyond. That's that ancient hatred that Esau has against the children of Israel. I'm gonna jump to Isaiah chapter 10 and 1. And Esau, this is part of Esau's new world order. This is part of Esau's plan to ship everyone. This is part of Esau's plan to just flex his little bit of power that he knows that he have a short time. That's why he's doing what he's doing, even more so. And I'm talking about the elites. I'm not talking about the average so-called white person. I'm talking about the elites, the real Edomites that rule the world, the so-called Illuminati. Woe unto them that Isaiah chapter 10 and 1. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. So Esau is in control of the laws of this world, not the law, statute, commandment, but the laws of this world, and they're unrighteous because Esau's making laws as we speak. Esau makes a new law every day, executive orders, this, that, and forth, to put us more into a confined cube of not being able to do this and not being able to do that, and restrictions. Even though we do need restrictions on things, but Esau does it unrighteously. That's why he's the border of wickedness. Like a small example, future prophecy with the RFID chip. If you don't take the chip and you get caught not taking the chip, or if you get caught not having a chip at a certain time when it's implemented around the world, mandatory, you can either be killed by firing squad, get your head chopped off, or be thrown in a FEMA camp to be tortured. That's an unrighteous decree. This whole, like I said, social distancing thing. If you're a so-called black person walking with a group of people and you're not so-called 6 feet apart, they can prosecute you. You can get $1,000 fine for that. That's an unrighteous decree. No one's working, so how can someone pay $1,000 if no one's working? That doesn't make any sense. There's no logic behind Esau's doing, even though Esau is a calculated creature. So, and I'm gonna jump to Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 7, because Esau is the border of wickedness, and he knows nothing but wickedness. Esau cannot do anything righteous, because let's say Esau, a real Edomite, sees you on the road and decides to help you. Because I learned this from my elders, and this Edomite decides to help you, right? You should deny his help. Even though the Lord, you got to read the situation, but your car breaks down and Edomite comes up to come help you. You have a better chance of denying his help and getting help from someone else that's not an Edomite, because that Edomite is going to have an alternative motive behind helping you, something sinister, whatever it may be. I'd rather wait and, I'd rather wait for somebody else to come by to help me with my car that's broken down on the side of the road than an Edomite. Because the scriptures say, never trust thine enemy. Point blank, period. Be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. And being wise as a serpent is to know first and foremost who your enemy is and what he's capable of. Because Esau is like I said, is a calculated beast. He's a calculated creature. Everything he does is calculated. That's why he's compared to a serpent, because him himself is wise to do evil. And there's a time that's going to come, which, correlating to Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, I'm going to jump to Jeremiah 30, verse 7. Alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So Jacob's trouble, which is Israel's trouble, because the house of Israel will be judged first. The house of Israel will be judged first. So, Israel's trouble is Esau's New World Order. Which the New World Order is going on right now, but when Esau really executes his wickedness on the world, but first and foremost on the children of Israel, that's going to be the time of Jacob's trouble. And then it says, but he shall be saved out of it. And who is he? He is the elect. They, the 144,000 men that you see on the highways and byways and are trying to live righteously in a wicked world, wicked society, a wicked place, wherever the elect may be, Babylon to China, China to India to Africa, Africa to Southern America, doesn't matter. So Lord willing, this was edifying and straight to the point and painting a picture for whoever is watching out there on YouTube world. So I'm going to say Kahala Yahweh by Hashem Yahawashi by Hashem Kadash. Double honors the Apostle of the Great Millstone. And shalom to you brothers out there pushing this word in sincerity and truth.